Meet Myrtle Beach's most experienced lifeguard and learn about the good old days. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on the inspiring life of Gene Hudson, a local attorney and true public servant. Good morning, Gene.
Oh, good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for being with us this morning. Incredible opportunity.
Thank you.
So exciting. What was it, a couple months ago when we were at the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, focused on the 52nd annual Sun Fund, all the activities going on that weekend. I think you were over the Myrtle Beach area.
Right, I was a Myrtle Beach chairman this year. Yeah.
Have you been doing that for a while, Gene?
Yeah, I've been involved in that Sun Fund for a long, long time, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Sun Fund Festival's amazing.
Sure. It's a great event.
And
it was good this year.
Yeah.
Probably the best festival we've ever had, really.
It's got to be. It was a huge turnout there, and to think of all the activities and the great weather.
And all those people having fun in the sun.
I know. Well, it was great after that. On July 4th, Holly Tanner was here in the studio, strangely enough, and we spent some time with her as well as watched that Sun Fund video.
Oh, right.
And had a treat tuning into that. There were some amazing images in that video.
Absolutely. Well, Marilyn and Holly and those girls are doing a great job with it. And Lance, I mean, they all did a great job.
Lance Thompson's a great general chairman.
He was our general chairman.
Very good.
He did a great job.
Celebrating family fun. And speaking of that, Gene, is your family here from the Horry County area?
Yeah, we're Horry County people. Well, I was born and grew up in Conway. And finished Conway High School, and then went to Clemson, and later USC Law School, and always wanted to live and work at Myrtle Beach because it's such a great place, and here I am.
Gene, what was your major at Clemson?
Well, I grew up on a tobacco farm in Horry County, and so my parents sent me up there to study agriculture. And, I grew up poor, and I'm not proud of the fact that we were poor when, growing up, but I'm not ashamed of it either. And so they wanted me to go to Clemson to study agriculture so I could perhaps make a decent living in that area. But, we were tobacco farmers, and tobacco's just not the thing these days. And so fortunately, I got into some other areas of some things to do in life rather than farm. And I found a lot of opportunities here at Myrtle Beach.
You still have family working in the farming industry?
My mother, she's 85, and she lives on the farm in Conway. I spoke with her on the phone this morning. And, but, we don't grow tobacco or those things anymore. I think we grow soybeans for the cattle. And my brother operates sort of a horse ranch out there. He has horses and cattle and stuff like that. So
it was fascinating. Last week on Wednesday and Thursday we had Ed Young in, who's a farmer. He's in his early 80s, a fascinating gentleman, and talks. He has lived on the land and lived in the land. He's now a third-generation farmer.
And former congressman.
And former congressman from the 6th District. That's right. Win Horry and Georgetown were part of the Florence Congressional 6th District. Fascinating guy. Yeah. Truly amazing. And farming, such an aspect, I wonder, you made a decision early on, I guess through your tenure there at Clemson, that you were ready to go possibly somewhere else. Where did you go to work after graduating from Clemson?
Well, after finishing college, I went to Charlotte, and I worked 2 years for a company in Charlotte. And I think that's when I really realized that maybe I could fulfill my childhood dream becoming a lawyer. And back in those days, I think lawyers were much more respected than they are today. Before 1977, lawyers could not advertise, but when the U.S. Supreme Court made that decision in 1977, lawyers began to advertise, and some of the cheesy ads that lawyers run. But thank goodness I never advertised any of my legal services.
And you still don't, Gene?
I don't practice much law anymore. I'm into some other things, as you well know.
Right, yeah.
But I've been very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities here at Myrtle Beach and on the Grand Strand, and not just practicing law, but some other beach tourist-related businesses that I've been involved in, and it's been a great life. And
Truly.
I certainly enjoy meeting people like you. You and I have been friends for 3 years.
Oh yeah,
and your dad's a lawyer.
He is.
And a judge.
Yeah, that's right.
And a law school professor.
Yeah, he loves the law, that's right.
And he's on the lecture circuit.
He lectures regularly. That's exactly right. The important thing is he tries to build the image that lawyers are, even the lawyers that advertise are should be well respected. We have a lot of lawyers in town. You think about some of the folks that advertise on billboards and on cable and television. Of course, now there's the U.S. Senator from North Carolina, John Edwards, a prominent trial lawyer who advertised quite a bit in eastern North Carolina, which helped, and now running for president, exactly, the Democratic candidate.
I have the greatest respect in the world for lawyers. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I do think that, since the Supreme Court made that decision in 1977, that it hasn't been good, the advertising. Now, and I'm sure a lot of people out there disagree with that, but that's just my opinion, that all the advertising for lawyers have really not paid off.
That's very interesting.
Before then, it may have opened up some eyes as to, if I want a lawyer, then here's one on television and here's his phone number. But lawyers may be easier to find. But as far as respect in the legal community, I don't think we have that now that we had when your dad was practicing law. So, and it's very unfortunate. But be that as it may, and I'm very proud of the fact that I did have the opportunity, a farm boy, with an agricultural degree, to go to Clemson and not go to law school rather after getting an agriculture degree. That's kind of unusual.
That is truly. And
a college person with an agriculture degree going to law school.
Did that help as a new aspect there in law school, Gene? Were you able to pass on a little bit of that agricultural aspect? Of course, you had the 2 years in Charlotte afterwards. What were you doing in Charlotte, Gene?
I worked for, believe it or not, a finance company, Commercial Credit Equipment Corporation. And we financed heavy farm equipment, combines and big tractors and things like that. And so that was my agricultural connection for that job I got in Charlotte, was the financing part of agriculture.
Right.
And I did that for 2 years, and I could see right away that, I wanted to move back to Myrtle Beach. I did not own a motel. I did not own a restaurant. And I said, well, if you're going to live in Myrtle Beach, if you're going to do any business at all, you need to own a motel or own a restaurant. And I didn't own either. And I said, well, maybe I could go to law school and get a law degree and become a professional person in Myrtle Beach. And fortunately, I was offered a job with a very good law firm here, and I worked for them for about 2.5 years before I opened my own law office. And
Gene, you love Myrtle Beach?
I love Myrtle Beach. I do. It's a great place. Horry County is a wonderful place to live and work and play, and I try to do my fair share of all of that, working and playing.
It's fascinating as I talk to folks. Obviously, a lot of folks move to Myrtle. I know when I moved here in late 95, early 96 to buy this station, was actively pursuing that. I thought, my parents are in Durham. They've always been in Durham. I'd love to live back in the Triangle someday, but you get to Myrtle and there's a bug that really gets in you. It's fascinating having a guest on recently, someone you may know who's headed up Earth and Shaping since 93, and it was so exciting hearing him. He's such a cheerleader for the area, really building a focus on the area. And he pointed out, he said, you got 13 million folks a year coming down here. Why would you ever want to leave this area?
Greg, this is your kind of place. You've been here, 3 or 4 years?
Oh, yeah, but so many folks who come truly learn to love the area.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know of anyone that's got more in the community in 3 or 4 years than you have.
Oh, well, there's a lot of folks, Gene. Fortunately, of course, we, as you know, the bulk of our viewers are in the PD and in southeastern North Carolina, so we serve a very large area. That's right.
But you do so much for this community, Greg. I mean, every day I pass your carousel horse up there on Oak Street.
Okay, Gene. Well, let's get back to the interview here.
At the recreation department.
You returned a lot. You returned to home, returned to Horry County while you were living in Charlotte, and then later when you attended law school in Columbia.
Yep.
You came back to the area a lot. So you truly had a bug in you. You were going to be back in Horry County.
No doubt about it. I mean, I used to, when I got old enough to figure some way to get off the farm, hitchhike on the road. I used to hitchhike over to Myrtle Beach and watch those lifeguards on the beach. And I had a great desire to be a lifeguard. And,
just to pick up babes.
Well, no, it's just I guess to get the tan and have a whistle, blow, have some authority.
Authority, yeah.
Have some blow a whistle and tell people, you're too far out in the ocean. Don't swim too far. And I wanted to do that, and I wanted to be a lifeguard, and then I saw how much fun they had at night shagging and doing everything. And I said, you know, Myrtle Beach has got so much to offer. And so I used to pick up the pennies when the shaggers were out there shagging, and people were throwing nickels and dimes and pennies. The lifeguards would pick up the nickels and dimes.
Huh.
And I was just a high school kid from Conway that had hitchhiked over to the beach, and I would pick up the pennies. Because in those days, Cokes were 10 cents.
Yeah.
And if I picked up 10 pennies, then I could buy a girlfriend a Coke, you know.
Listen to that. Girls were wrapped back in. I love it, Gene.
So it was, you know, Myrtle Beach has always been great, you know, great opportunity. And there I was picking up pennies and watching the shaggers and watching the lifeguards and said, maybe someday I can get involved and do that myself. You know?
And you view these, the lifeguards during the day, public servants during the day, and having fun at night. I mean,
we got some outstanding lifeguards.
Right.
You know, I've got about half the swim team from Penn State that work for me now.
Is that right?
Those guys are I mean, they're great swimmers, and they're good boys, and we do simple things like play table tennis, ping pong. We do that in the evenings, and we sing karaoke. I have a karaoke machine, and those kids do that, and we just have some just good, clean, simple fun. The lifeguards do, and it's always been a great place to work, Myrtle Beach.
You knew coming after law school, I mean, you were going to be down in the area, you wanted to practice law to build your base, but then there was a thought that something changed, Gene. Didn't you become the city's waterfront director at one point?
Well, yeah, I did. You know, I was a lifeguard. I finally became a lifeguard after, you know, when I was in college, I got certified as a lifeguard, and I had the opportunity to be a lifeguard during the summer, and I worked several years as a lifeguard, and I finally, I thought I had found my niche on the beach as a lifeguard. But I knew that I couldn't do that when I got older. And so that's the reason I went to law school and got that law degree and became a lawyer. And then I knew it was time to hang up my lifeguard shirt and my whistle and become a professional person, a lawyer, you know. And so that's what I did. And I did that for a few years. And then in 1975, there was 9 or 10 drownings in Myrtle Beach, 1975, and the city was alarmed by that. All the hotel owners were alarmed because people were drowning in the ocean, and they thought that would affect the tourist business, and I'm sure it did have an adverse effect. So they called me one day and said, we need someone to train the lifeguards and implement a program that Mr. Frank Beckham had came up with, and so that was my job. I said, well, yeah, I can do that part-time, and so, you know, I do a lot of things, and that's one thing I did in '76. I trained the lifeguards and taught them some life-saving skills and training, and we went from 9 or 10 drownings in 1975 to 0 drownings in 1976. And
come on,
yeah, and I thought that was a great, and the kids did that, you know, and the lifeguards, and I thought they had done a great job out there, and I was so pleased with what they had done that year, and until I became sort of, I guess, hooked on that job. So I worked for the city, even though I was a lawyer and had a law practice. I worked for the city on a small salary for a couple of years as a city waterfront director.
And that was in the months that you would be focused on that, so you would essentially just put down or close up your legal profession.
Well, it's hard to close it up.
Right.
I mean,
sure. Clients are 24/7. Yeah.
If you got a good law practice, you can't close it up.
Right.
But I had the understanding with the city that you know, that I would just sort of oversee the program as a waterfront director, and that I had people working under me that drove jeeps, and when we had lost kids and things like that, then I would get on the radio and dispatch the beach patrol, and they would go locate the lost kids and stuff like that. So I stayed in my law office, really, and sort of ran the beach, too, at the same time, and that worked pretty well, actually, for a couple of years.
What were some of the procedures that were put into place that you instituted in that shift from 75 to 76, where it went from 9 or 10 drownings to 0? I mean, what were some of the procedures that were put into motion, Gene?
Well, that's a very good question, because we did Mr. Beckham came up with these ideas, and all I did was implement the program. But Mr. Beckham thought that all the lifeguards should have a tower, and instead of sitting in a chair on the beach, and looking at the water, they should sit up in a tower. So, in fact, the first time that we had towers, the city built all the towers, the lifeguard towers. So the lifeguards started sitting up in their tower. And they never had that big orange rescue can that you see on Baywatch and in Myrtle Beach. And they didn't have that until 1976. And so Mr. Beckham said every lifeguard's got to have a rescue can, and he's got to take his can with him when he goes in the water to make a rescue, and for safety reasons. And so those were two things that we did. And then we did in-service training once a week. We do that today, in-service training. The lifeguards train, and they do the ocean rescue stuff, surf rescues, and so it's a great program.
Procedures were clearly effective. I mean, it's fascinating to think those hadn't been instituted beforehand, particularly since Mr. Beckham had thought of many of these. He just needed somebody like you as a conduit to really get these implemented.
Yeah, he needed someone to implement those things, and I just happened to be there. And it was a great opportunity for me to work for the city all those 2 years.
You've also done a ton of volunteer activities, Gene. We mentioned Sun Fun a minute ago. What are some of the other volunteer activities you've gotten involved in? Or maybe Sun Fun, or is it a particular one?
Well, not being from a legal family, Greg, like you are, my father wasn't a lawyer, and I don't have any uncles that were lawyers. So the only law I learned was what I learned in law school, and some other things too. And one thing I learned in law school was that if you're going to have a successful law practice, you need to get out and mingle with the public. And so as soon as I finished law school, I tried to mingle with the public. I would go out on Saturday night with the locals, and I'd get up on Sunday morning and go to church with the other locals. And, I just tried to mingle with the locals and meet as many people as I possibly could. And I joined the JCs. And within 6 months, I was president of the JCs. And that was a great opportunity, being president of the JCs. Sure. This was... I hate to tell you how long ago that was, but that was 1969. And our goal back in those days, I mean, there had never been a civic club in Myrtle Beach with more than 100 members. This was back in 1969. And our goal for the Myrtle Beach JCs was to get that 100 members.
Sure.
We wound up with 106 members in the Myrtle Beach JCs in 1969. And, it was through organization and getting planning and being organized. And we became a gold chip chapter of the JCs, and Myrtle Beach chapter was gold chip in 1969 because of what the guys said, the organization.
Right.
And then that sort of carried on into the Optimist Club. A couple of years ago, I was president of the Optimist Club.
I remember.
Yeah, and now, we got much more members in our civic club. Our membership goal for the Optimist Club was 270 members. And I thought to myself, my gosh, we will never get 270 members in the Optimist Club. But fortunately, when I was president of the Optimist Club and had two very strong vice presidents, and they had 4 teams each, and they got out recruiting, and your friend Hilda recruited probably, I think she got the award for recruiting more members than anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Wound up with 275 members in the Optimist Club.
No.
And we were a distinguished chapter that year. I'm very proud of that. And
gotta be.
Yeah.
As well as all that, and
all that and $1 will buy you a cup of coffee.
I'm just trying to think how you
right.
have time to do all this, to be so active with Optimist Club, to have been the president, to be actively in the summertime thinking about being out on the beach almost all day. I'm amazed we were able to get you in this morning and get a suit on you. What do you normally wear while you're out on the beach, Gene?
Well, I don't wear a suit, that's for sure.
Right.
I wear an old dirty lifeguard shirt and a pair of shorts.
I love it.
No, I put a clean lifeguard shirt on every day, and a staff shirt, not lifeguard. I'm not allowed to wear the lifeguard shirt because I'm not certified anymore.
Oh, is that right?
No,
okay.
I'm just the staff, And these kids that work for me, they're lifeguards, and they have a shirt that's got and that's important,
How do you decide who's going to be out working with you in the summertime?
Well, you were asking about how do I put all these things together.
Yeah, how do you do it all?
I have a very good staff. I have a secretary that's been working, I guess, 20 years or more with me.
Wow.
And my wife is very instrumental in helping me get organized. I discuss a lot of things with her. She's got a good mind.
Oh, yeah.
And she adds a lot. So, I'm trying to surround myself with good professional people, hard-working people. And Bogey, the guy that works at the motel, you haven't met him. He's a comedian, and you'll meet him sooner or later. And we just have a lot of fun.
Well, now you have activities that are focused on, I know when we were over at the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, we talked about a program you've instituted recently with Optimist Club about swim near a lifeguard.
Swim near a lifeguard.
And that is something that you're doing in conjunction with the Optimist Club and something that's encouraged children to get out and learn basic swimming techniques. Is that correct?
Right, absolutely. Years ago, when I was practicing law, I was able to buy an interest in a small motel out on Highway 501, and we turned that into living quarters for the lifeguards because they couldn't find a place to stay. Well, there's a swimming pool there because it was an old motel, and I wanted to do something with the swimming pool, so we cleaned it up and fixed it up, and now we're giving swimming lessons to the children in the community. There's no charge for that.
No charge?
Yeah, the lifeguards teach the kids, and it's all free.
You are kidding.
Yeah.
Well, if there was a viewer who had a child or grandchild who'd be interested in coming out, Gene, who could they call?
They could call me. And my phone number, could you put it on the screen?
Yeah, sure.
448-4114.
843-448-4114.
Yeah, and we would love to teach their children how to swim.
And what would be the times on that? Would it be pretty...
Well, the lifeguards work during the day.
Right.
So the swimming lessons, therefore, have to be in the afternoon around 6 or 6:30 or 7.
Okay.
Of course, it doesn't get dark these days until about 8:30 or 9. So,
exactly. Well, that's a great offer,
yeah,
Gene.
we could do that.
Is this something exclusive to Myrtle Beach lifeguards, or are the other groups serving Horry and Myrtle Beach doing something like this?
Well, the Optimist Club is really the sponsor of this program.
Right.
They're the sponsor, and the lifeguards do the teaching. The lifeguard, Myrtle Beach, my company, is also a co-sponsor, and we do the teaching, and so it's kind of a joint project, and a local joint project.
It's fantastic.
But anybody in your viewing area, if they got children that need a swimming lesson, come over and swim in our pool. Don't swim in the pool unless we're there. There's no lifeguard on duty, you know. But we could teach them how to swim in our pool.
That is fantastic. Of course, the great thing is if they called you, I mean, your location's right on 501, where it says Gene's Ocean Lifeguards.
Yeah.
On the side of the building, across from Food Line, a couple doors down from the room store, the furniture place.
Yeah, we got there's some old buildings out there and the property out there, and we were able to get that at a good price, and the dealership and then the old motel sort of go together there.
That is fantastic. Gene, we got about 5 minutes, and we got Loretta, the producer's got laid out so many amazing questions we wanted to focus on. We may have to get you back another time. But do you miss the beach that you knew as a lifeguard, Gene?
Greg, my answer to that question is simply this. The good old days is today. There's been so many wonderful changes here in Myrtle Beach, and this town's growing, and it's just amazing, the growth and the good things that are here today. And no, I don't miss the old days at all.
It's fantastic. I've never heard that.
Farming, on that tobacco farm, I don't miss that a bit. No.
That's a great phrase, Gene. The good old days is today. The good old days is today. That's fantastic. I hadn't thought about that. It really is. How has the community changed since you became a lifeguard, Gene?
Changed? Well, the buildings are larger and taller, and the people are many more people now than there were when I was a lifeguard. And just a lot of better restaurants, better food, better places to stay. And if you're viewing all the audience, if they haven't been to Myrtle Beach in the last 2 or 3 years, they need to come, and they need to come now. And a good time to come would be late August when some of the tourists leave. If they can't, this time we're just so busy. I always tell my guys, third week in July, I tell my guys this. I say, guys, you've seen the beer commercial, and I won't mention the name of the beer, but it's a beer commercial where they're sitting around the campground drinking this certain beer, and some guy says, hey, guys, it doesn't get any better than this. And that's what I tell the lifeguards the third week in July. I said, hey, guys, it doesn't get any better than this. I said, this beach is at its peak right now, the third and fourth week in July, and maybe the first week in August. So I hope you viewing audience will come on to Myrtle Beach, visit us, spend some time here, and we're open. The beach is open. We keep the beach open until 1st of October.
Is that right?
September's a great time to come. Yeah, September's a great time to visit the beach. The rates are down.
Right.
Yeah, the water's warm. The fish are biting for the fishermen, and there's so much to do here.
And how long will you be offering you and the Optimist Club will be offering those swimming lessons?
Well, that's a limited time on that now. About 10 more days, and we'll be over that.
Okay.
That was a month project. It started in late June.
Right.
We're going to do that for a month. We're insured under the umbrella of the International Optimist Club, OI.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, that's exciting, even for a little while longer. How did you become involved in the chair and umbrella rental concession, Gene?
Well, Being the city waterfront director sort of got me back on the beach. And when I got my feet in the sand again, I realized how much I had missed the beach from my lifeguard days. You know, I was a city waterfront director, and I sort of operated the beach from my law office, but I did go to the beach some, you know, and got my feet in the sand, and I realized how great that beach is down there. And so being the city waterfront director, I got to know all the beach service owners, and one of them got real sick, and he had a couple heart attacks, and his wife called me, and she said, could you buy this business from us? And I said, well, sure, if you want to sell it, because I knew it, you know, it would be a good thing. So, so I bought the north end of Myrtle Beach is where I'm located.
So you have certain territories, and this is really what helps cover the cost of lifeguards on our beaches, Gene.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't help. It's just the total cost. In other words, the lifeguards are paid totally from the money that comes from the umbrellas. The taxpayers, it doesn't cost them anything.
Is that right?
Yeah, we get no tax money, nothing from the city or the county or the state or the federal government. We pay the lifeguards solely from the umbrella rental, so we like for people to rent the umbrellas and support the water safety program.
That is fascinating, Gene. I'm sure a lot of folks did not know that, thinking that having a city contract, they must pay you to cover those to protect lives.
Well, you would think that. You would think that, but no, we have to pay the city, actually, for the right to rent those umbrellas.
This is incredible, Gene. This sounds like the absolute best of both worlds. The opportunity to maintain a legal practice and still be involved, but to be a true public servant on a daily basis, as well as keep up some of your great activities and civic hobbies. I want to ask one last question. When you think about all the folks in your life and all the people that have wrapped around you, been inspirations in your life, is there anyone in particular who's inspired you?
Well, of course, my parents, Jack and Pearl Hudson. I called my mother Pearl this morning. I call her Miss Hudson, and she's doing great. Like I said earlier, she's 85, living out on the old farm, the old home place in Conway, and I'll be out there this week to visit her. I owe her a little money, so I got to go pay her.
Oh, yes, I love it.
You got to pay your mama, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's wonderful, Gene. So, inspired by his parents. Gene Hudson, amazing public servant, inspired life, and meant so much to so many people. Gene, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Great being with you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Gene Hudson and his amazing public service for making today's Carolina People so special. And if you think Gene's cute, tune in tomorrow to catch his wife, Mary Lee, as she joins us at Carolina People.